Hey, are you seriously podcasting alone?
Nah, I'm with my...
Get off my dick, Daddy!
Hey.
Hello, everybody. I've come with some
I like how
frogs.
you're still doing that impression and John has still no idea who this man is.
I don't know. I watched the little clip you sent.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little
The
penguin.
Can you do the impression?
I would have to listen to it some more. Maybe during the podcast you'll hear one clip.
So me not listening to the Grizzly Man is not the end of the world.
No.
It is not, because I have not
okay.
watched it.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is John, sitting here with another John and one Nicola.
Hi.
Over across the room is Priscilla. Here to moderate, make sure we stay on track.
Depressing. Oh my god, that sounded like I said
Here's some Mickey Mouse for
depressing.
you.
It low-key sounded like I said depressing.
Depressing?
Depressing.
Depressing.
Pressy.
So yeah, we're doing a different type of episode today. Normally we cover a sort of event or something like that, but today we are covering just one man.
The greatest man of all time.
The grizzly.
Because to me, like he's a big guy in the film industry, kind of like the film culture world. But to me, he's like
an alpha.
he's kind of like the real life Dos Equis man. He's just like the most interesting man in the world. He really is like that. So he's a film director, documentary filmmaker. He's done some acting too in recent movies.
He
done,
also
a couple
does
of
tap
cameos.
dancing.
He has directed operas.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
He's directed operas. He's an author. I think that's about it. He's not
got a
that crazy. But
big
Hey,
ass
presenting
cock,
on the
too.
Boys podcast today.
I wouldn't say he's not that crazy. There's a lot of shit that he's done. What the hell?
oh man, you wait and see.
You
So-
should see him do a backflip, bro.
It literally sounded like you were introing him like he was going to be on the pod.
I wish, bro. I would.
He's an author.
He would be one of my
Documentary
dream
host.
guests. Not gonna lie.
He has the biggest dong in the world.
The guy we're talking about today is Werner Herzog, by the way. He feels to me like one of those 17th century, not 17th century, but 18th century, 19th century like explorers. And he's just like, but he happened to be born in the 20th century.
Can you,
know?
for the people who don't know him, can you like give us his most prolific titles? The ones that he's known
He's
for.
got a couple of titles. I am. It's in my script though. I will integrate it. But he's directed like documentaries like Into the Inferno, Grizzly Man. He's done films like Aguirre, The Wrath of God, Nosferatu.
And a penguin movie.
It's just for the people who don't
Surfs
know.
Up.
Not Surfs Up.
He did Surfs Up in real life.
He had a cameo in Penguins of Madagascar.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Yo.
Wait, so who
Now
the hell
he's a
on the
real
Madagascar team was like, I'm a huge
We need Werner
Herzog.
Herzog. Yes, you'll see.
Pay him whatever he wants.
Without further ado, here we go. So Werner Herzog was actually born Werner Stiepedisch in Germany in 1942.
Stupidish.
Yeah, weird name.
I like that.
So Germany, 1942, a time and place well in the midst of World War II. His father, Dietrich Herzog, was a German soldier stationed in France who didn't see as much combat as other soldiers because he made himself scarce.
Now, that's
Nice.
a killer
Smart
name.
man.
Smart.
That's
Very
the
smart.
smartest move you can do, especially in World War II.
That's a killer name. I like that one.
He was in a
Dietrich?
barn banging some hot
Dietrich
French chicks.
Herzog.
It sounds like he mowed down a whole infantry by himself.
You know, like those old like noir movies, and like the femme fatale comes in, she's like, my name is Alina Dietrich. And you're just like, oh.
Wow.
Germany noir.
Step on me, please.
I just think Austin Powers, Ivana
I've
Humpalot. So Werner's father mainly worked at ammunition depots and just did all these like small jobs that were enough to keep him out of harm's way.
Not a talented solder.
Yeah, I guess
He made himself scarce, so he didn't have time
He
to
was
learn on the
not
No,
job.
he was brilliant.
those are the actual winners of the war.
The ones who actually fucking packed your bullets.
So Werner's mother, Elisabeth Stiepedisch, was an Austrian woman of Croatian descent living in Munich, which at the time was the quote-unquote heart of the movement.
Nice.
Pretty sexy.
So when Werner was only 2 weeks old, bombings from the Allies nearly destroyed his infanthood home.
Oh.
Werner's mother found him in his crib, buried under shards of glass, brick, and rubble. A startling sight for any new mother, this prompted Elizabeth to flee with Werner and his older brother to a remote village in the Bavarian Alps.
The Bavarian Alps. This is like some fucking God of War type of.
Real. And then
We
he
need to
came
go to the
back and he
Bavarian
murdered
Alps.
Yeah.
It's a very, very common thing to do in Germany at wartime.
Go to the Alps.
I gotta say.
He came
Go to
back
the
as
villages,
a CIA
yeah.
agent and took
Get
down
the
the Nazis.
fuck out of there.
Also, fun thing to note, but somebody who has a kind of a similar childhood as Werner, because he also ends up living in this small like village, except in Austria itself, Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Nice.
Yo.
They live kind of a similar kind of pathway.
What the hell?
Yeah, they're like two sides of the same coin.
Jesus, the
a
Germans
sort of-
had an
And they look
interesting
very
way.
much alike too.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Google Werner Herzog. You'll see the similarities.
Am I allowed to Google? Usually phones are confiscated. from
Phones are confiscated right now. I'll show you a picture of Werner in a minute. So here's a picture of Werner Herzog. That was him in his 70s. Like,
me. And I
no,
want to
it's-
see a young version of him.
No, wait, that's not young for Werner yet. But
No, that's
This
not
this
young
man
German.
sweats sex.
yeah. So growing up in 1940s mountain range Bavaria, Werner didn't see much modern technology around him. He and his siblings grew up without running water, flushing toilets, or telephones. In fact, Werner wouldn't make his first phone call until he was 17 years old.
Before me.
I didn't get my first phone until I was like 21. So
Yeah,
me and Werner pretty much the same.
Nah, you're trying to
made
say
a
you-
phone call.
You're trying to say you had a.
You've ever called your friend's house and have to speak to their scary dad or some shit?
No, actually, I've never had. Thank God. That sounds scary.
I had to call my friend's house, but it was back in the days when like printing something at the same time as
Oh,
having
would
a
fuck
phone
up
call.
your phone?
Yeah, and they were always like something was always happening like that.
Dial-up.
So
Did
his
you
dad
sound
would just get
dial-up?
increasingly frustrated as I called. Like what? And I'm like, oh my god,
I'm printing the Bible.
We're printing things, goddammit.
god damn it. They also grew up in extreme poverty. Often he and his brother would go to bed starving or resort to eating salads made from dandelions to patch the hunger.
Ooh, that's great for weight loss.
It's
Yeah.
actually really good for you, surprisingly.
Well, nowadays people who do that are on TLC. So, in one instance, he and his brother are wailing and latching onto their mother's skirt because they're starving. Their mother spun around, freeing herself from both kids, and with a chilling calmness told them, "If I could cut it out of my own ribs, I would, but I cannot."
Hell
The boys learned not to cry after that.
Damn.
That really sounds
some
like.
That is the
biblical
most
shit.
German mother thing you could do.
Some biblical shit right there. Whoa, holy shit.
It's like, when cut it out of my ribs, I would do it.
If I could cut it out of my ribs, I would, but I cannot.
Stay silent, child.
Silence. I'm watching my programs.
Watching my
I'm
stories.
sure they did not have TV.
No,
either.
they
He
did not
literally
have
just
TV.
said that.
Yeah,
They didn't even have a phone.
it was
so-
for the bit.
Yeah.
Her programs is listening to Morse code TV shows.
Beep, 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 beep.
Oh, it's so funny.
I love when they do the beep beep.
Oh, that beep beep was very characteristic of the character.
That was the most German sentence
Kudos for that
coming
one,
from a
John.
Portuguese person. However, growing up in a remote Bavarian village in the middle of the post-war era was not all that bad for Werner. Many of the kids grew up without any of the strict German fathers telling them what to do all the time. I wonder where they went. This Herzog described as anarchy in the best sense of the word. Just a bunch of little Bavarian kids running around in the ruins of a small city.
Just being gay.
It's just,
What the fuck?
just
No
galloping
dads, they're galloping now. They're
around,
like
just galloping
fucking-
around the city.
Prancing.
Little boys being able to frolic and prance. and
Frolic.
But
shit.
the thing is, I don't even understand that because it's not like the mothers were not just as strict either. So I'm guessing the fathers were way more, but like the mothers were not like, yay, let's just go to
Yeah,
like
but
they were
busy.
fucking.
They were busy doing things.
Oh,
so
that's
They
like,
probably
fair.
have to do a bunch of shit that
Oh,
because
so
they're
they
doing
wouldn't pay
chores.
attention as much
Yeah.
to
these
the
mothers
kids.
probably also have to like cut logs for firewood and all that type
oh,
of
that's
shit too,
fucking
you know.
fair, actually.
Yeah, so
they
you
might
know
have
these
not
kids
had
are literally
time.
just running around. It's the White Ribbon basically.
Yeah, it is The White Ribbon. Watch The White Ribbon. It's a good movie.
Great movie. So here's the thing, right? So we're gonna take a little bit of what we read here with a grain of salt because the main source for Werner Herzog's stories throughout his life is Werner
It's
Herzog.
himself, yeah.
did he not have a documentary person around him at all times? in the
Well,
mountains?
let's just say,
At some points, yes, he did though.
Nice.
let's just say he did the opera. Okay,
He did the opera.
he might be a wee bit dramatic.
The thing is, there are enough stories that are either documented or there's witnesses or like you
Yeah.
know
Cross
that like
con-
you
like-
can like even the ones that sound like that just come from Werner purely also are just like I don't see why you would lie about this when all these other interesting stories about you like are
Are real,
documented and
yeah.
true. You could just keep retelling those other stories. So it's just there's somewhat of like a believability you know.
I believe him.
Well, because he sounds like the type of guy that would. He sounds actually like Nick, where he'll just tell you a story that's like pretty fucked up or like some completely weird, and he's like, "Yeah, anyway, like that happened to me, but you know, we can move on." So he sounds so much like that type of guy that I don't see him lying about it.
Yeah,
he
not
doesn't
gonna
even
lie.
believe.
Werner Herzog is Nick's spirit animal. So in his memoir, Every Man for Himself and God Against All,
Nice.
he tells of the wolf hunting season, where the men who did remain would go hunt wolves and throw the cubs into the children's bedrooms. The children would then tease the cubs and get them to howl. In the end, every wolf would be killed, and their paws and ears would be shipped with a card in order for the government to grant rewards to the people who killed them.
Holy shit.
So the German government had this like award thing going on for people who could kill wolves.
Oh, it's
Dude,
kind of like
It
the
was like
Western
it
times.
was like a population control thing.
But that became a problem because actually there's no more wolves in like Switzerland and stuff like that. So like,
and there used to be a ton.
yeah. So that's a population control, but that went way out of hand.
That's what they're attempting to do now in Texas with all the boars and shit. There's just a fuck ton of boars. So now they're just going in fields with machine guns and shit, just pulling them down.
That's fucking crazy.
That's our next episode.
Yep,
That's crazy.
Next episode, they even got night vision goggles and shit too. And they're gonna like extra. Keep going.
Yeah. So they had very little contact with the outside world. And so for a lot of kids at this point in time, their references for how the world works were German fairy tales, which Werner grew up on. In an interview with Jonathan Demme, the director of Silence of the Lambs, he tells a story about how when American soldiers came to occupy his village, he met a black man for the first time in his life. Werner ran to his mother and said, quote, "I saw a pitch black Moor, like from one of the nursery rhymes or fairy tales." At this time, Moor was like the term for like Muslims in certain regions of Europe in the past and stuff like that. But they had fairy tales of like a pitch black Moor. Kind of how like the Dutch had like a Santa's helper was just a guy in blackface.
Yeah, the
Pete.
blackface dude.
They have
They
like-
still
like-
do for
Well,
some
no,
reason.
it's a subject of controversy now. My sister lives in Holland, and they're changing him into a blue one.
The Blue Man Group.
He's like Blue Pete now or something like that. Yeah. It's
Blue
funny.
Pete.
That's their controversial conversation of the year. Like, should Black Pete come back in 2024? His name is Zwarte Piet.
Zwarte Piet.
Zwarte? Oh,
Zwarte.
yeah. Because,
So just a subject of interest.
that's pretty funny.
Most German fairy tale characters are just people in blackface.
Oh, it's like Americans too, right?
Yeah, I guess so. So Werner was fascinated by this black man, later befriending him and talking with him at the slope of the mountain for like hours. The man took a liking to Herzog and gave him a piece of chewing gum, which Werner kept for over a year, chewing it from time to time and hiding it from his older brother.
That is so fucking crazy. Absolutely insane.
But
for a
like,
year.
I mean,
But yeah, I
it's a
understand
mythical
it.
dude for him. So he's just like, fuck.
This mythical black
and
man
he's
gave me
never
the
seen
chewing gum.
before, probably.
That's the
Which is
thing.
Yeah.
crazy.
It's the gift that keeps on chewing. What was it? The Willy Wonka and the
Damn,
chocolate
Werner,
factory?
you are one cool crowd.
Jive turkey.
You know what? He probably had an oral fixation as well.
Probably
It's an
does.
everlasting gobstopper. You just have to chew on it, it never stops.
So in addition to not knowing about black people, Werner also grew up completely unaware of the existence of cinema. He only discovered it when a traveling projectionist came to his school and played some films for the students. What this projectionist didn't know is that by presenting the power of cinema to this little Bavarian boy from the Alps, he was unwittingly creating an absolute legend. At 81 years old today, with a filmography of around 38 films and documentaries such as Fitzcarraldo, Bad Lieutenant, or Grizzly Man, Werner has not only established himself as a prolific filmmaker, but is also a sort of an icon of the culture with a wide range of cameos and acting appearances like in Jack Reacher, The Mandalorian, Boondocks, Penguins of Madagascar.
With Boondocks.
He's in Boondocks.
What episode is he in Boondocks? Because I watched them all. I don't remember him in there. Oh, I mean, it's been a while.
I'm about
It's
to-
one German character.
I'm
at
about to
some
show
point.
you guys
That's,
his Boondocks cameo.
Hell yeah.
He went from
Okay.
Jack
Which is also where you-
Reacher to Boondocks and then Madagascar.
I know, I love
and he's
it.
in Star Wars too. He's in The Mandalorian.
That's wild. You back it up.
So yeah, as with every clip, by the way, you can find that in the visual companions. You'll find that in the description, or you can find a link in our Instagram to see those as well. I have a lot of clips this episode, so look that up.
I tracked down the notoriously reclusive Huey Freeman here, where he lives with his grandfather and younger brother. The first thing I notice about Huey is his incredibly large hair. The second thing I notice is his permanent scowl. How does it feel to be labeled a domestic terrorist?
I'm retired.
They even have this little whisper.
Now that it looks like Obama is going to win, as a black African-American Negro, are you merely excited? Or are you extremely excited that everything is going to change forever? I felt my sphincter clench and my scrotum contract in shock at his response. So, if the election is fake, then what's really going on?
The end of America.
I felt despair so terrible, I briefly considered slitting my own wrists or bludgeoning myself about the head with a steel pipe or baseball bat. But I brought no blade, no pipe, no bat. What is wrong with letting people be happy? Can too much hope possibly be a bad thing?
Hope is irrational.
In Bavaria we have a saying, der Junge ist ja total bedient. It means this is the most depressing fucking kid I've ever met in my life.
The most depressing.
So that's kind of what's fun
kid
about
I've seen
Werner
in my
too,
life.
is that he likes to lend himself to self-parody a lot and stuff.
Well, he
He's a cool
understands what
dude.
he is.
Yeah,
He knows what he is. Yeah, he's very self-aware about
it's
that.
fucking
Pretty
hilarious.
cool.
That
was a good
Fucking
episode.
kid.
That was like the Obama episode when he was getting in. That's a good episode.
Yeah,
I
and
forgot
he
he
was-
was in there.
If you want to see the Boondocks, look it up.
Yeah, man.
Now Madagascar.
Madagascar, baby.
Woo!
Do you guys want to see the Madagascar clip?
Yes.
In which one
Okay, hold
though?
on.
Which one?
It's penguins in Madagascar.
Audio
So
peek
it's,
of
Ah,
I've
yeah.
never seen
okay.
that.
I never seen
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's why I didn't.
But
see
you know what too?
That was like the
let's
best
be-
version of Madman.
Let's be real. If you didn't know this guy before, of course you're not gonna like recognize
That,
him.
I think that's what it is. It's like I used to watch Boondocks as a kid, so I did not know who Werner
Yeah,
Herzog
so it's not
was.
you're not gonna remember.
No, but it's like
that.
one of those things where, like, example, like you watch a TV series, and then you let's say House, right? And then you see like a bunch of like now that you've watched a shit ton of movies, you've watched a shit ton of shows, and like you're more knowledgeable. Then you watch House, and then you see like the guest cameos. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Then-
Yeah.
But you probably watched all of House before.
Listen, like
you
I
know?
remember watching Friends, and like I didn't even know who fucking Bruce Willis was. So like, when Bruce Willis was in Friends, like I didn't know what the fuck that was about. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So here's a clip from Madagascar. Penguins of Madagascar.
Tiny and helpless, the baby penguins are
Oh,
frozen
they knew
with
what they
fear.
were doing.
They know if they fall from this cliff, they will surely die. Gunther, give them a shove.
But yeah, like again, it's just a bunch of.
But it's literally the parody of the penguin walking into the abyss.
So to understand the mythological stature of a guy like Werner Herzog, one must travel back to where his journey started, with little Werner Stipedich moving back to Munich with his family in 1954. When he's 13, he has this quote-unquote bullying music teacher who forces him to stand up and sing in front of the entire class as punishment. An event, he says, traumatized him and made him completely swear off music for years.
So we could have had maybe a singing Werner Herzog.
He could have been in the opera.
So
could have been
fuck
tap
this
dancing.
music teacher then. Goddamn, we could have had even.
He could have been a rapper.
crazier.
Dude.
Yeah, so according to him, he like doesn't like this incident just makes him swear off music for like a couple years, and then when he's like 17, he gets back into it, and it blows up for him. Like it just blows his world
Thank
away,
God.
and he gets into classical music. So he's
Thank God.
Which
a
was
17-year-old into classical music.
well, that was the cool thing, and like that's what was playing at the time. They didn't have rap.
He had other types of music at the
Nah.
time. It was the 50s, bro. There was
All they had was
like
classical.
jazz was there,
until,
swing was
until
there.
the 80s, there was nothing but classical.
They
as
hardly
far as I'm
had
concerned.
TV most of their life, so I imagine that
Yeah.
they didn't get all the
Jive,
jazz
bro.
and blues, the American news and shit.
This one time, Werner and his friend are skiing down this big slope when his friend takes a tumble and his skis plant themselves so deep into the snow that they send his friend tumbling without his skis or his boots. Werner later found his friend injured and nearly unconscious. He debated whether he would leave his friend to get help or to stay with him where he couldn't help at all. He ultimately decided he was going to carry his friend, who was bigger than him, back into town. So he did that, and luckily for him, along the way, a villager with a carriage and a pony saw him and took them into town.
The way I was reading it is I thought he was like still debating, and then he was like, oh, fuck, am I gonna have to carry him? And then like somebody with a pony is like, hi, and he's like, oh, thank God.
Well, he carried him a bit, and then
Okay.
he took him like half the way there.
It sounds
yeah.
like a Hateful Eight scene.
Yeah.
Just two of them fucking lost in the wilderness. The horse died.
Yeah. When he's 17, two men in his village kill each other in a barn over some sort of vendetta. And he and the rest of the village kind of gather around to see that.
Like if it's like a high school fight.
High school fight, but they're
Who's
killing each
gonna
other.
win? And it's just like them with knives fucking stabbing each other.
So both
They're
men...
like, I get to fuck the horse.
Whoa.
Jesus Christ.
That is my horse, Gunther.
I get to be with Dietrich.
So both men had shot each other, but their bodies lied so close they could almost touch each other. This is an image. So this is an image that kind of strikes Werner early on in his life. In his late teens, he develops an obsession with Catholicism, just around the time that he's also getting into music.
I didn't think he'd swerve into Catholicism.
It's weird, and
Like-
it's a very brief stint, but he gets really hardcore into it.
Okay, so he has hyperfixation.
Yeah.
He's just somebody that hyperfixates.
So he quickly gets out of this obsession and starts traveling to a bunch of places on foot. And that's kind of like while he's traveling on these places, like he's traveling to these places on foot, that's kind of where he just slowly starts losing that obsession
He
with
became
it.
a nomad.
So I guess he started just thinking hard enough to it, and he's like, I don't know about all
Yeah, like
that.
I need to think about this. I'm gonna walk from like fucking Munich to Paris, and
He saw a fucking
We'll
wolf.
see how I feel about
we'll see how I feel about
He
it.
saw a pack of wolves on his way there, and he's just like, nah, God ain't real.
He might have straight up been too busy to give a shit anymore.
But honestly, maybe.
Because, I mean, Catholicism is fucking boring, yo.
I'm sorry for all the Catholics in our audience. Anyway, continue, John.
So at some point in this, in these journeys that he does, he decides that he wants to make movies. He changes his surname from Stupedish to Herzog because Herzog sounded like the more memorable name.
Stupidish.
I don't know, Stupedish? Sounds
Herzog
pretty
is
cool.
easy.
Yeah, but if you heard
It's
like
easier, but I don't know
Werner
if it's
Herzog.
more.
if you heard movie made by Stupedish, you'd be like, what the fuck?
No,
That guy.
I'd be like, that's a foreign man.
Yeah,
You would
Stupedish
think
guy.
he would like jump in the air and like twiddle his toes.
Stupidish.
Stupedish. So
It's too gay.
yeah.
It's too good.
Sounds like what Tiny Tim's real name would be, So along the way, he teaches himself the basics of filmmaking through reading encyclopedias. While he's still in high school, he tries approaching producers to finance his first film, but he's laughed out of the room based on the simple fact that he was just too young. So he does what any young filmmaker with the stink of destiny on them does. He says, fuck him, I'll make it myself. Eventually, he steals a camera from the Munich Film School.
Hell yeah.
An act he later justified on an audio commentary for one of his films. He said, quote, I don't consider it theft. It was just a necessity. I had some sort of natural right for a camera, a tool to work with.
That holds up in court.
And you know what? When you come from the mountains, you deserve a,
Fuck
That's
that.
true.
a little bump up.
I'm cool. I'm genuinely cool with this. That's
If I have
great.
never been caught, I have earned the right to keep it.
I do believe that, though.
I believe that
Same.
too.
I believe that too.
It's like if someone goes through the effort of breaking into your house, taking your shit and leaving with it, and you can't find them, then it's their shit. You know,
That's true.
it's a lot of effort.
Yeah. He gets a second job working at a welding company after school hours and funds his first short films that way. Side note, by the way, at some point while working as a steward during the Munich Oktoberfest, his job was like to stop drunk patrons from driving home. Werner encountered a drunk man who demanded to drive home. So Werner's answer to that was to get in the car with the man, lock his steering wheel into a turning position. So the drunk guy eventually just passed out and while his car spun over and over again
was
in the
doing
same spot
donuts?
until it ran. Yeah, basically. He just locked the car into a constant donut until
is
the guy
actually
just
pretty
passed
smart.
out in it and the car ran out of gas.
That's pretty smart. That's a good way.
And I only bring this up because it comes up later. After graduating high school, he and a friend, Richard Kapuscinski, a Polish journalist, embark on a mission to see the Congo, which has just gained its independence. They were both just intrigued when they started hearing stories of tribal conflicts and even cases of cannibalism going on over there. Both of them went their separate ways, and Herzog ended up getting intensely ill in South Sudan and making it back to Egypt where they took care of him. Kapuscinski, however, makes it to Congo where in the course of over a year, he is arrested over 40 times and sentenced to death 4 different times, in addition to being locked in a dark dungeon and having venomous snakes thrown at him in his cell.
I feel like after the first
Force 10
sentence.
times.
No, the first death sentence, I feel like I'd be like, idle, fuck the Congo.
Well, maybe
I'm
it's
good.
on his way out that he kept getting.
I'm
still
just trying
arrested.
to leave the Congo.
He's like, I'm trying to get the
Stop
fuck
trying.
out of here.
Stop sentencing me to death. I'm trying to leave.
Maybe the woman had his heart.
God,
He was just like, nah, I'm staying
He's
here.
like, fool me once.
worth
shame
it.
on me.
God damn. Kapuscinski makes it out alive. His hair turned white at 28 years old from
Makes
the
sense.
stress of this experience.
I would too.
Werner thanks God he never made it to the Congo.
Oh, now he's a Catholic.
He eventually gets a scholarship to go study in Pittsburgh, USA. So he leaves his girlfriend behind and travels to the US, where he shortly thereafter drops the scholarship and violates his visa by working in the States.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so he kind of gets bored when he gets there because he just realizes it's just a bunch of theory and a bunch of bullshit, and he just like, we're not making any movies here.
He's a man of action.
He is a man of action, you know. So he starts working in the States. That violates his visa, so you know he gets threatened to like be kicked out of the country. So he starts crashing couches here and there, biding his time for 6 months. At some point, he stays with a friend who's 40 years old and constantly afraid of his mother. Quote, there were occasional bizarre scenes. The mother fed her son as if he were a little kid. More precisely, she made him eat green jello, and she started to think of me as someone who might also benefit from it. I ate it uncomplainingly. This motif surfaced many years later in my film, My Son, What Have You Done?
Have you seen that movie?
I haven't seen that
That's a crazy fucking movie. It makes absolutely no sense. It's almost as if David Lynch did it, but if David Lynch was stupid. It's not a good movie, but it's kind of crazy. And if that's his interaction he's actually had in real life, that's crazy.
I like the idea of like, she's feeding her son this jello, and it's like, you should
get some jello in
He's
you,
like,
son.
I
All
see
right.
him,
Like, don't
gazing,
feed me, but
gazing at him, being like, "Do you want some of this too? Huh? You want some of this? Huh?"
He's like, I guess if you put it in front of me, I'll eat it. At one point, Werner is walking back home from work where he is approached by a woman in her car who asks where he's going and whether he needs a place to stay. Because this is the 70s for some
Yep.
reason.
Yeah.
This is like
I would have loved those
the
times.
60s and 70s. Hey, you need a place to stay? And I guess you could just stay with this person. Serial killers,
He was
Thrived.
a hot piece of ass. Maybe she was looking for some booty.
Yeah. Werner being one to like, never shy away from adventure, he accepts this offer. So he stays with this lady and her 2 sons and their grandmother. And it is weeks of chaos. Fights erupting left
It's a
and
trap.
right. It is a fucking trap. So this woman's sons come home drunk late at night, and the grandmother wakes up the whole house yelling at them in the morning. To make things worse, the son often engaged in a sort of prank war that usually found Werner in its crosshairs. In his memoir, Werner would recall sleeping in that family's attic and having to defend himself from the lady's sons spraying him with cologne on his way out every morning. Eventually, Werner would have to buy
with
into the madness.
cologne?
Sorry?
so they made him smell good before he left the house.
Yeah, but when they spray you with like too much cologne?
Oh,
When like emptying an entire bottle on you?
So it
Yeah.
starts being like Agent Orange on your fucking ass.
Yeah. And eventually Werner would have to buy into the madness by defending himself with shaving cream.
Nice.
So Werner would walk out of his room and they would spray each other with shit almost every morning.
That'd be so crazy.
Living with these fucking weird
The
Americans.
stress of like having to leave your room.
What age were the sons? So they were old enough to drink, or was it
They
the
were
70s?
old enough to
So they were like
I've-
16.
They were like probably late teens because that's kind of what seems to be the vibe there.
Okay.
Yeah. He goes on for weeks like this until the government finally mails him a letter saying he's being sent back home.
Thank God, he says. This is worse than the Congo.
So now in trouble of being sent back to Germany, Werner buys a Spanish dictionary and flees to Mexico, where he works as a rodeo clown to make ends meet.
The fuck is
Yep.
this jobs?
That's why I'm saying it's Nick's spirit animal.
did he go to clown school?
So Werner had no experience even riding horseback, much less riding young bulls. So he's getting tossed around and beaten by bulls to make somewhat of a survivable living in Mexico. And his charm is undeniable. The Mexican crowds end up giving him the nickname El Alemán, which translates
Alemán.
to the German.
Very creative.
Amazing. I love the creativity for that one.
They really thought
German.
hard.
So Werner embraces the nickname, suggesting only that it be changed to El Alamein, as a nod to the defeat suffered by the Germans on an Egyptian railway during World War II.
Alamein.
I don't know why he's weird like that.
El Alamein. It's fun. I get
El
that.
Alamein.
No, honestly, like
You
it's-
want that.
That's pretty dope.
I know
El
I know
Alamein.
Nick wants that one. Yeah.
His rodeo days eventually come to when a bull pins one of his legs.
Ow.
So he quits. Having made contacts in the Mexican rodeo business, though, he then takes up a job smuggling TVs and stereo systems through a gap in the U.S.-Mexican border.
Yo, this dude's fuck. He gets kicked out of the U.S. and he's like, I'm gonna smuggle shit.
I'm gonna smuggle shit.
Yo, this
I'm a
guy's
smuggler now.
I want to be his friend.
But people do that a lot more often. There's a guy in Brazil that used to do that with Uruguay. You'd go into Uruguay, buy some cheap shit, and like try to smuggle
Yeah, because
that.
the thing is, like, televisions and shit like that, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
This does go a little further.
Unless it's televisions with drugs in it.
That's, the thing is, sometimes that's kind of the trick.
There you go.
You're gonna go pick up the Cheech and Chong. That happened in Cheech and Chong, man.
Holy shit.
The van was weed. So he then starts smuggling TVs and stereo systems through a gap in the U.S.-Mexico border for wealthy rancheros. At one point, he's ordered to...
many gaps in that border.
Damn.
Like, this eventually evolves into him smuggling guns.
Holy shit! It became war dogs.
But the thing is, he's smuggling guns for collectioners. These
For
are
the
just
good
rancheros
guys.
who want like cool guns to display. Yeah, like bedazzled custom guns and shit like that.
man.
Yeah.
I thought he low key became
because
like the war dogs.
because rancheros are like,
The wealthy fucking bourgeoisie. type
well,
of
you
thing.
know what, ranchero, not always, but like they're just bedazzled cowboys. Like they like the big buckle, they like the fucking boots, you know.
Oh,
That's
like
their
they
shit. The
strut around a little.
pointy shoes and all that. Yeah.
Pointy shoes and big boots.
Yeah.
Pointy shoes and big
Yeah, well,
boots.
the pointed boots, you know?
Yeah.
And then the fucking cowboy hat, the big buckle and everything. That's just their thing. That's a ranchero.
Oh god.
So yeah, it's a thing.
Oh, they're cosplayers.
Yeah, kind of, I guess.
There we go. I get it now.
So yeah, speaking of cosplay, at one point he's ordered to smuggle a silver Colt with one silver bullet by a particularly weird ranchero.
Bro, the guy's trying to kill a werewolf.
Trying-
What is that?
Werner, you have to help me, man. I have this fucking chingon
A
werewolf in my
Mexican
property.
werewolf in London.
I can do that. It's okay.
So
So
Mexican?
I'm Latino. I'm Latinx. I can do it. So Herzog managed to find the gun, which he had to get it custom made, and have it shipped to El Paso, but there was no such thing as silver bullets. It's just impossible.
You can get one built.
Yeah, but like it's not a usable bullet.
Oh, is it? You can't
No,
use
it
it
would-
even if you made it. Like it would be
silver,
usable?
silver wouldn't like survive, no?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the heat would like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like
Melt.
melted back again type of thing, or
will probably make it like break a bit.
oh,
and so this fact caused issues with this buyer later who refused to pay for the gun.
what?
So Herzog was pestering the guy, kind of just showing up at his house and calling him and shit, until finally the guy just bought it out of pity for Herzog.
That ranchero's a douche.
He was
but
a
it's
fucking
funny.
asshole.
Anyways, he's never going to use that silver bullet. So I might as well just have one custom made
I
anyways.
think it's literally just to say I am a werewolf hunter. Like,
Literally.
so-
I'm always prepared.
He wants to play fucking Russian roulette with a werewolf.
during this time in Mexico, he also starts hearing word of Mayans in Guatemala wanting to form their own independent state and becomes dead set on going to help them.
Nice.
He describes his journey on the New Yorker. He motioned to cross over to Guatemala through the river with his belongings on his head and a soccer ball tied with a shopping net as a flotation device.
Bro, this dude is like he has the newspaper and he's like, what do I do now? And he's just looking for news that he can just jump on.
He puts the newspaper on the on the wall and he throws a
and
dart.
just throws darts.
I
He's the
guess I'm
unemployed
going to fix the Congo.
He's the unemployed friend at like 3 a.m. being like, fuck it, I got shit to do, I guess.
Well, this is just the birth of my favorite gender, white man with camera crew. It's my favorite gender. Gordon Ramsay, all fucking Steve Irwin.
We can do whatever the fuck
White
we
man
want.
with camera crew can literally get anywhere. It's awesome. So as he approaches Guatemala, so he's crossing through on this river. He actually does this. As he approaches Guatemala, he notices Guatemalan soldiers watching him from the jungle with rifles pointed at him and smiles on their faces. He's
Like, we're going to get a white man.
yeah. He smiled at the soldiers, waved hello, and swam back the other way.
Good, smart man.
Like,
Smarter than I
maybe
thought.
the Guatemalans are fine.
They're gonna be
They
good.
don't need my help.
This is when Werner decided he wasn't well and needed to go back home.
He's like, I don't think I'm all that in my head right now. I
He's
need to
just
go back.
addicted to the adrenaline of like
Yeah.
doing shit.
And I didn't include this on my script, but like he kind of gets sick his whole journey. Like he feels just fucking ill. Like he's like dying on the road his whole way back to the States. At one point he kind of stops in like this native reserve, and he sees this weird like dancing chicken show. It's like these little boxes on the side of the road with like windows, and there's just chickens that are dancing.
Okay.
They're dancing chickens with music.
They're just stripping.
And he's like,
You're like, buck. Where's my money?
it's a surreal experience for him because he's like near death, and he's just seeing these like
He's like, is this even real?
yeah, exactly. And he later comes back years later to film this as part of the ending for one of his movies.
Okay, that makes
Strosek,
sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because
Yeah.
he has a thing for like those like animals doing shit towards the end
Weird
of the
shit,
movie.
yeah.
Thing for sexy chickens dancing.
Hey.
Werner gets back home to Munich, hoping to rekindle things with the girlfriend he left behind. To his surprise, she's married, and to his cousin.
Bum, bum, bum.
Oh shit!
But that doesn't stop Werner from taking her on a week-long getaway.
Oh.
Nice.
Yo.
He said, "Come with me on this big adventure, baby."
It's like you're mine again.
Come on, baby. You know you can't resist this adventure. So, at the end of their affair, he doesn't return her to her husband, but to her family home, where her buff Austrian brothers had sworn that they'd beat the shit out of him if they ever saw him again. In his memoir, Werner...
Oh my god, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger. He beat the shit out of him.
Show me this Herzog guy. I will beat him. In his memoir, Werner says he doesn't remember there being any contact at all between them, but remembers blacking out and his cheek being swollen for weeks afterwards.
Just sucker punch.
He got knocked the fuck out.
Yo, but that's fucking gangster though. He's just like, I'm gonna steal my ex from my cousin, and I'm gonna go back to the home where these guys want to fucking kill me. This dude is absolutely nuts.
I'm
Probably
ballsy.
forgot. He probably forgot that they told him this, and he was like, "Oh shit, fuck!"
He wakes up being like, right.
He's kind of like Han Solo with Greedo, who just sits down like, oh shit, it's true. I owe you money.
It's like, god.
He wakes up and remembers more than when he got knocked out.
All right, so, we're ping-ponging between stories here, but I got a good one here. So, while scouting locations in Peru for his 1971 film Aguirre, The Wrath of God, a schedule change forced Herzog to cancel his flight from Lima to Iquitos. The flight in question was Lanza Flight 508. Flight 508 departed around noon on Christmas Eve with an estimated trip duration of 1 hour and 50 minutes, but the conditions had been rough that day. A severe thunderstorm blackened the sky. There was turbulence so hard it unloaded Christmas presents off the carry-on sections and sent them down the aisles. As the flight was somewhere over the Amazon forest, the right wing of the plane was struck by lightning.
Yo, he was the inspiration for Santa Claus.
Holy shit!
What are you talking about?
What the hell?
Christmas presents fell out of the sky?
In the 80s.
That's how I know John
In
is
the
half
80s.
listening to my paragraphs. He heard Christmas presents.
Christmas.
And I was like, whoa, he's Santa Claus? German Santa Claus?
It has nothing to do with this flight.
So don't worry about it.
He's in the cargo.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. A 17-year-old girl named Julianne Kopke was sitting in 19F beside her mother, both watching the ray of lightning clutch the wing and set it aflame.
This is a Roland Emmerich film right now.
Julianne hears the last thing her mother will ever say to her. Quote, "Now it's all over." Less than a minute after that, Julianne's mother is no longer in the seat next to her. The plane is shredded to pieces, and Julianne is stuck in her seat, plummeting 10,000 feet through indifferent skies over the Amazon jungle.
I saw that episode of Mayday.
Holy shit!
This is a real story.
I know.
Crazy.
In her memoir, she describes it as slicing through the sky. She crashes into the jungle. Branches tear into her arm and eye. The ground greets her with a concussion and a broken collarbone. Kopke survived the fall and trekked through Amazonia for 11 days before she was finally found by fishermen.
This girl's a fucking gangster.
She's a fucking G.
yeah.
God damn.
She's fighting panthers and
17-year-old
shit.
German girl.
She's German. That's why.
German. They could
They just
survive.
don't give up.
They could survive fucking anywhere.
So, 14 other passengers had suffered the same fate as Julianne. Their seats fell from the sky and they had survived the impact of the crash, but none of them would survive long enough to see rescue. Julianne Kopke was the sole survivor of Flight 508.
God damn.
She wrote a memoir in 2011 titled When I Fell from the Sky, and her story would be the subject of 2 films, a 1974 film called Miracles Still Happen,
Ew.
And the other one's
and a
Rambo.
1998 documentary titled Wings of Hope, directed by none other than Werner Herzog.
Let's go,
The boys
Miracle
back.
Still Happens is such a lame Christian.
It was an Italian
type of,
movie.
Really?
Yeah, it was an Italian movie based on the accident.
Fuck.
Yeah,
that
it's weird.
sounded. That title is so lame as fuck. Miracles
Still Happen,
It's like
yeah.
a Christmas movie. They probably made it a Christmas movie.
know,
I
because
made it
was
out of the
Christmas
forest because I
Eve.
prayed to God.
You know what I don't like is that this isn't a miracle. She's just a like. I don't like.
She's a fucking
Oh,
human.
I understand. what
I
you
don't.
mean,
I don't
yeah.
like being like you were blessed by a miracle. Like nah, this
I
chick
trekked through the fucking
this
jungle.
chick was like I saw my mother die, and fucking was
Get
like
ripped
this
out
is-
of the fucking sky.
Yeah, and I was like I'm not dying too, motherfucker.
That's the thing. That was
Yeah.
not by God. It was by
That's why
her.
I felt the need to tell that scenario because it's just it's
crazy.
fucking intense. And yeah, Werner was nearly on this flight. He just had a last minute schedule change.
He was getting derailed from Guatemala.
So he was going to be on that flight, and then you made a movie about it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's very weird and surreal, and it's because he feels this sort of like connection in that sort of way. Like holy shit, I almost got on that flight. You nearly died from that fucking flight. And he decides to he goes to the spots with her. He takes her back to the spots in the jungle.
What if he went on that flight and they were the only two that survived? Imagine trekking for your survival with Werner Herzog at your
Bro, he's narrating your entire journey.
and he's telling you about how he fucking like stole his ex-girlfriend and got knocked out by.
and you know what's crazy is that they still like weren't able to recover like years later like parts of this plane. There's just like plane seats in the
Well,
Amazon
yeah.
jungle.
What the fuck?
I know this happens a lot.
But also like think about like how things will grow. Like so many
Yeah.
vines grow so quickly.
Oh, yeah, they
Those
do.
things are buried. Like is the wreck still there? Is it?
Well, yeah, parts of the wreck still because it was destroyed in the air basically.
Yeah.
It shredded
yeah.
into pieces in midair. So
Holy shit.
yeah, crazy story.
To fall that far and actually survive is insane.
Yeah.
Like that alone is like, wow.
Like,
Cool. Gangster shit.
parachute, bro.
Gangsta shit for sure. In a lighter story, sometime in the 70s, Herzog sought to help motivate his friend and fellow filmmaker Errol Morris by making a bet only an old German from the Bavarian Alps could make. So Errol Morris had been working on a documentary on pet cemeteries, and he was struggling to find the motivation to keep it going.
Interesting
I mean,
documentary.
it's really, really odd topic.
Yeah. Werner told Morris that he would never finish this film. And that, in fact, Werner was so confident of this that he was willing to bet that if Morris did finish his film, Werner would eat his own shoe. Kind of a weird way to motivate it, but yeah, like
Not even like take a shoey, like
No.
Eat it.
pour a beer into a shoe.
So in 1978, Morris would complete his film, titled The Gates of Heaven. And Werner Herzog, being Werner Herzog, kept his promise. So we're gonna watch a clip.
Hell yeah.
This clip is called Werner Eats His Own Shoe.
Wait, he filmed himself doing it?
It was made
I saw
it was
this.
turned into an event.
I saw this.
What is this shoe made of?
So he decided to make it the shoe that he was wearing at the time of the bet. So it's a leather shoe.
So not vegan.
So I said to him, you are a man who should make films and you are gonna do that film now. And he said to me, well, I don't have any money and so and nobody will give me money. I said, that money doesn't make films. You just do it and take the initiative. And I said, I'm gonna eat my shoes if you finish that one. And that's the moment now. I didn't mean to eat this shoe in public. I intended to eat it in the restaurant, but I was pushed a little bit into it, and it makes sense to some extent because it should be an encouragement for all of you who want to make films and who are just scared to start and who haven't got the guts. So you can follow a good example. He borrowed money everywhere and he stole and I don't know how he did it, but that's a way to do it. If you want to do a film, steal a camera, steal raw stock, sneak into a lab and do it.
He turned him losing a bet to him inspirational story.
Yeah, but he had like a chef prepare the shoe in a way, season the shoe and shit, so he would eat it.
The fuck is on it?
I think it's like garlic or something, or like an onion maybe.
Yeah, but does he eat the entire shoe? No.
I think he eats parts of the shoe. I don't think he
Yeah.
eats the entire shoe.
Because that's caoutchouc at the bottom.
Is it a cake or is it a shoe?
This is cake. It is not shoe.
I feel like it'd be hard to watch a man like basically like almost regurgitate pieces of
Yeah,
just
you're
like,
there for like 2 hours watching someone
Man,
eat
that
a
would be
shoe.
fucking. That would
Like,
be the best art film of all time. Just like, my girlfriend's gonna hate me. One story that shows Werner's more mystical side is when his friend and mentor, writer Lotte Eisner, was sick and practically on her deathbed. Werner felt a compelling urge to do a pilgrimage to France to see his friend, believing that his friend would die if he didn't go see her. He walked from Munich to Paris in 3 weeks. He made the trip, and Eisner did not die.
this guy just not have a car. Like everywhere he goes,
No,
he
he
takes
felt
the longest
so
way.
He felt like I gotta walk. I gotta do this by walk.
I feel that.
Yeah, but in 3 weeks, that person could have died.
You know though
That's true, but-
when I go traveling like different countries, I do enjoy like doing the entire walk.
The walk, yeah.
Like walking from like the airport to like the main city and shit, because like you really get to see everything.
Yeah.
You're not like on a bus falling asleep or some shit. Like
Yeah, you get a lot of thinking done on a walk.
Yeah, that
too.
is that
That's the
is
thing.
that is fun. But like going from like a country,
John is just like, there was cars back then, right?
one country to another. Like
It's not the same value.
well, the countries were closer
he
together.
pulled up to eat
Yeah,
a
it's just
shoe in
Europe.
a car.
It's Europe, so they didn't have like, I think, yeah, it was the Europe Union was already formed at that time, right?
European Union.
The European Union
74.
should be, right?
I don't know, man.
Because it's kind of recent.
Write us an email.
Write us an email if you're
Write us an email.
From
Tell us
France.
we're fucking stupid. So here's from his memoirs. Quote, at the end of November 1974, a friend from Paris called and told me that Lotte Eisner was seriously ill and would probably die. I said this must not be. Not at this time. German cinema would not do without her now. We would not permit her death. I took a jacket, a compass, and a duffel bag with the necessities. My boots were so solid and new that I had confidence in them.
These are not the same ones he ate.
I'll be there in
no.
3 weeks.
I set off on the most direct route to Paris in full faith, believing that she would stay alive if I came on foot.
Okay, so that's the mystical aspect. Like, that's the destiny aspect of
Yeah,
the walking.
That's the
then,
motivation.
Yeah, and
A
this,
compass too. That's fucking like, yo,
G.
that's cool.
and here's a reportedly Herzog claims that 8 years later, she complained to him of her infirmities and asked, quote, I am saturated with life. There is still this spell upon me that I must not die. Can you lift it? He said, it is lifted. And she died 8 days later.
Damn, that man's got power.
He is God.
Is God.
You see what I mean?
He was like, I
he
will not
stopped-
be on that plane.
He stopped caring
I will-
about Catholicism because he realized it doesn't matter. Like he
I
is
am
in control.
God, yeah.
I did not
am
need
the
to
God.
believe in an existence in God because I knew that I was him.
because I am the controller.
That's kind of sweet that they have such a great friendship that way. Like to the point where she's like, "Yo, could you let me die?" Actually, and he's like, "Bet."
He's like,
Got you.
I got you. He's like, you could
I
die
do.
now.
German cinema is okay.
It's okay now. You can go.
8
So-
years after.
Werner is known to be one of the pioneers of German New Wave cinema, alongside guys like Rainer Werner Fassbinder and Wim Wenders, to name a few.
After she died.
Around the same time. A lot of the stuff you'll see at this time is super low budget, sometimes opting for a documentary style camera work and often mixing professional actors with people you sort of just found on the street, which is what Herzog does a lot of even to this day.
Yeah.
Herzog's films embody so much of those principles to the fullest. His documentary films have elements of poetry, and while his fiction films have the qualities of like archival footage and documentaries sometimes. Werner would infuse his films with the two aspects that have been so present in his life: curiosity and danger. He often finds himself including shots, music choices, or entire scenes and sequences that he himself doesn't understand the meaning of, but felt the instinct to include them for their poetry. This kind of mirrors him being fascinated with the black soldier as a kid, or the him at 17 seeing the corpses in the barn. Like, he stares at these things longer than most people would because he's both curious and just fascinated by them at the same time.
I understand him on that. There's some stuff where you just kind of zone out and you're just so taken by it
Yeah.
that you just don't. You just. I have that feeling
it
too.
attracts you, but you don't know why you're attracted to it.
Yeah,
I have that with animals. Like I shoot in my films, I shoot a lot of animals.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, I know. I was with a camera, not a gun. Back, go watch the AHA. It goes into the AHA.
I was like, he's gonna. I was like, I heard. Yeah, I have that with animals. I shoot, and he's like, I shoot them, and then I was like, well, he's gonna save himself. He's got this.
He's got this. Yeah.
He's like, no, he didn't save himself. Please elaborate.
No, yeah, but like Travail d'équipe, my short film teamwork, I have like shots of geese and a squirrel, and I just like, I don't know why. I'm like, I like these shots. I'm gonna keep these animals and
There's actually 20 minutes of footage of these
Of
animals
him
that he
chasing
cut
a
down.
squirrel.
like it. So yeah. The danger aspect, however, you would find behind the scenes. So, while shooting one of his early feature films, Fata Morgana, Herzog went to Cameroon after a coup had just been attempted in the nation.
Of course.
Hell yeah.
Police
As you do.
Surprise.
Because he's like, fuck it. So, right away, police mistook Werner's cinematographer for a wanted criminal and arrested both of them. Werner was jailed and beaten, and he contracted bilharzia, a rare blood parasite.
Jesus
times.
Christ.
We wouldn't start seeing Werner's brand of personally like inflicted danger until the next entry. So the next film we're going to talk about is a film called Even Dwarfs Started Small. The title, by the way, the title is a working title. It was a translation, a working title that never got changed.
Yeah, so it's not a working title anymore.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
the title.
According
Like,
to Word,
this is majestic. I'll keep it.
yeah, because it does feature a lot of like little person actors. So according to Herzog, it has nothing to do with the film. The word dwarf should not appear in there. But I mean, the
But I put it
translators
there.
translated it and they never gave a shit about
Okay, because
changing
it
it
was
back.
from German to
It's a
English.
German film, yeah.
Ah, okay.
Did you try the German director in translation?
I don't know.
Just to know if it was.
Well, he could speak English. He could change it now. Why didn't he change it?
He just moved on to other shit.
He said, fuck it.
Even Dwarfs Started Small is about little people confined in an institution who rebel against the guards. In their rebellion, they commit a bunch of wild stunts, but just kind of tire themselves out and never really focus their attention on anything productive. It's this kind of metaphor for just rebellions and
Yeah.
in general, you know. So they go into like complete anarchy and don't really get shit done. While filming one scene, one of the actors had a hard time containing his laughter. So Werner would give him crap and tell him that he must not laugh. But once cameras were rolling, he would start making funny faces at the actor.
This dick. He's so funny.
What a fucking asshole.
This is serious.
Can I imagine him trying to make the actor laugh the way he would try to make a child laugh?
Yeah.
The way you try to make a baby on the subway laugh? Or
Yeah,
something?
like, cuckoo.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm a grown, I'm
you will
30.
be fired.
Just like, what the fuck is happening?
I like to think that the little person just stopped laughing whenever Werner would do it. He'd be like, okay. Like, fuck you.
So also in this film, we see Werner bring back one of the images from his earlier days. In one of the scenes, the titular dwarfs are running around a courtyard where a truck is driving in circles with nobody at the wheel. So he brings back the thing with the drunk guy. He's like, this is a good idea. I'm going to bring it back somewhere.
This is a fond memory.
So Werner pulls this thing off by doing just that, having all these little actors run around a spinning truck with some of them even climbing on top of the driverless van. At some point, one of the actors falls off the roof of the van and is then run over by it.
Shit.
Nice.
So I'm going to show you guys the scene.
No.
You don't
he-
see, I don't think you see it.
Does he survive?
You see one of them fall off, but you don't see the point when, yes, he's fine.
Okay, I was about to say, notice how he doesn't respond to you about the survival of this poor man.
He's like, just wait.
Yeah, I'm
Once
not
you
gonna-
see, once you see John has a big smile, that means somebody's gonna get hurt.
No grown people were hurt in making this film.
So
Only
here's the
half
scene.
of a person was hurt.
So you just see the fucking trucks, man. And they're all just like, there's one that's like literally mounted on the truck. But yeah, so it's still like pretty dangerous. Like this guy's literally climbing on the fucking door and everything. And I believe it's this one who does end up falling off eventually because he's the one doing the wildest shit.
Was that the inspiration for like the drunk guy?
He was inspired by the drunk guy to do this. So
You could see the rope. But
you
like,
see it right here. That's not where he gets hit. But you see what I mean? The stunts he's doing, I don't think they kept in the scene where he gets run over.
hope not.
But
Damn.
yeah. So while shooting another scene where the actors are lighting potted plants on fire, while you don't see it happen in the film, The same actor who had been run over by the car accidentally caught fire himself.
Dude, this guy was not having a fucking day.
Poor guy.
This guy showed up to work. His wife's like, "What the fuck happened to you, man? Got ran over by a car, caught on fire. No big deal."
Yeah, and Werner darted towards him, tackled him, and covered him to stuff the fire out.
I don't think he needed to tackle the guy. Like, he could have just...
I will save you, little man.
Yeah, like, he fucking tackles him.
He's
like,
always wanted to like run over a fucking small guy.
Tackle the little guy. The actor wasn't hurt, but as the fire got put out, Werner promised his actors that if they made it through the rest of shooting without any injuries, he would jump into a cactus patch and let them film it.
He's very eager to always put himself as like, you know what? I'll fucking hurt myself.
He wants incentive. Like, he wants to make it competitive.
Because sometimes he issues these and there's not even like a...
It's not prompted, yeah.
Well, because you know when you do a bet and normally like a bet to humiliate or something, the other party also offers like a way to humiliate themselves if they lose.
Yeah.
But for him, it's just like, I'll just fucking eat something. He's like, do you want me to do the same? No, I'll eat it.
You don't have to. I oblige.
You know what though?
wrong,
I
I'll
do
eat
get his like with eat the shoe though. He's saying like you either fail or I eat my shoe.
Oh, he considers the failure a lot worse.
Yeah, like in a sense, like so it's just this thing
sense.
where he's pushing these people. It's like the safety thing that we just talked about. It's like let's get through this safely. If not, or like no. He said if
you guys make it through the rest without more injuries,
Yeah.
I will jump into a cactus.
so
yeah.
for them, like
It's
the
an
thought of
incentive.
him jumping into a cactus thing is fun. So they're gonna be safer about it.
It's an incentive for them to like.
But he's the director, so he kind of has also their safety on his hands. He kind of has to do shit as well.
And I
Isn't
bet
that
he
before
wants
the
to jump in the cactus
He wants
bush.
to judge. He would have
loves
been
that.
perfect for Jackass. Like
Honestly, yeah.
a stunt that was later done on Jackass. Like for real. So he did eventually jump into the cactus.
Nice.
So they took pictures, but
So he
wasn't
didn't give
able.
him the camera.
It was kind of a personal collection sort of thing.
Okay.
So
Was he naked?
I don't know. Like I said,
He can't find it.
all
yeah,
we
'cause
really
it's a
have is this
personal-
interview of him describing it.
You know what's funny? He said, "Look, if you guys get through shooting, we can film me jumping into a cactus." And then he didn't give them the camera. he just said, "Well, you can."
No, I'm too embarrassed. I'm too shy now.
too shy. The camera wasn't mine. It was the school's.
Cactus plant at the end of the
No,
war
that-
started small?
That was a different story. I had the feeling they were quite in danger. One was hit by the car. The car ran over him, and the same little guy caught fire when we watered the
same
flower
little
pots
guy.
with gasoline and set them afire. A flame. He caught fire, and I extinguished him with my body. I threw myself on him, and when he was extinguished, I told him, "I'm gonna jump into a cactus if you all survive." So and they had their fun to take their snaps and their Super 8mm stuff of that.
Were you hurt when you threw yourself into the cactus?
No, it's not that much. It was a nasty one. It had long spines, and some are still sticking in my knee sinew. You can't operate them out. They just are still sticking there. Doesn't hurt.
Well, then you are a man of your word when it comes to making vows of self-destruction.
No, it's not self-destructive to jump into a cactus. It was just giving them a little fun and showing them that I had an awareness of the problems they had and giving them some fun in exchange.
I like that. I like that a lot. Just being like,
Yeah.
we're on the same level, me and you guys.
Yeah.
It's kind of that where it's like you're putting your body through this. I'll put my body through it too.
He's like a less dickish version of James Cameron.
Yeah, I mean, like, I kind of try to exert some of that, not jump into a cactus level, but like, if I'm doing, like, if I'm making an actor do some sort of stunt or get into an uncomfortable position, like, I will get into it myself, like, and normally it's like I do it as a demonstrative thing, but I'm also just kind of showing, like, listen, I'm not like, I wouldn't make you do anything I wouldn't do. That's kind of my deal, you know.
Oh, sure.
We put Nick in a trunk. I got into the trunk that same night too.
I got thrown onto a bowling ball. I didn't see you.
That was
fall
your fault.
I didn't
onto a
see
bowling ball.
John
You
do that.
aimed for the bowling ball. It's your fault.
I literally, you know what's funny? I literally said like we should
Victim
not have the
blaming.
bowling ball there because like I'm landing on it.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no, but we have
It's
to.
part
That
of
was
it.
my crew being lazy.
They kept putting it back down. I was like,
Yeah.
You're like, shit.
So anyways, we're going to move on. As you can see from the last couple of stories, Werner is a man of his word, or at least a man who respects his handshake agreements, something he often does. There's this one story of him in North Korea shooting volcanoes for his film Into the Inferno.
North Korea?
Yeah.
God
North
damn.
or south?
North.
Oh, what the fuck?
And this has something to do with that. So he's filming a volcano, and nearby North Korean soldiers are playing a joke with a woman in their group. They pretend they're gonna throw her into a magma pit or whatever, and it's all laughs until Werner rears the camera at them. The laughing stops. Werner is questioned over and over about his intentions. He just randomly shot these three soldiers laughing, and they're like, "What the fuck?" So he is then ordered to delete the footage, but due to a digital memory storage issue, Werner could not delete the clip without deleting everything he had shot on the trip so far. Oof. But Werner manages to get North Korean officials to let him go with the footage on a handshake agreement that he would never show that video. Herzog kept his promise.
Goddamn.
Damn.
It's just like,
That's pretty impressive.
He's like, no, I promised the North Koreans I will not, so it is gone.
he's like, literally, it just sits in my computer.
I bet
Trust
he's
me, I jumped into a pile of cactus and I also ate my shoe. So, I keep my promise.
It's this crazy ability to talk your way out of situations like that.
10 charisma.
It's
Yeah.
the accent.
Yeah.
He's like, I swear, I saw 3 North Koreans laugh. I promise.
That is a pretty funny
That's
story
his
to
only
relate.
lie. The only lie he's ever told is that.
I saw North Koreans laugh.
They never laugh in their lives.
So all of these stories are a testament to Herzog's almost mystical persuasiveness. And if luck isn't on his side, he can talk his way out of situations. He finds a way of establishing a relatability with people so that they can be, as he says, quote, in business together. This is how he approaches establishing relationships with actors or documentary subjects. He talks to them about life and finds some sort of connection between the two. So I'm going to play you just this one clip where he...
Oh, yeah, I remember this one.
Beauty. Nobody ever saw this footage, and I discovered it in an abandoned NASA archive. And I wanted to meet the astronauts and film with them 16 years later. And I finally got them together, and we met in Houston at the Johnson Space Center. And there were these 5 or 6 chairs for them, 2 women and 3 men, 5 of them, and a chair for me. And I was introduced to them, and I stood there, and I didn't know what to say now. My heart somehow sank, and I looked from face to face. And then I had some sort of a glorious moment of intuition. And I said to them, I grew up in Bavaria in the mountains, and I was looking after cows, and as a boy I learned how to milk cows. From that time on, I can tell from a face who is able to milk a cow. And I said, you sir, you can milk the cows. He said, yeah. And he truly looked like a man, like a good farm boy who knew how to milk a cow. And I did the right thing. And from that moment, the ice was broken. After 3 sentences, the ice was broken, and we were in business.
So
That's pretty cool. I fucking love this dude.
Cow milking man. Yeah, it's you. It's you.
it
really is.
He sees these astronauts, and he just sees one guy in the room like, you know how to milk a cow.
How'd you know?
She's like, holy shit, I do know how to milk a cow.
What are you
am
doing
a
after
cow
the
milker.
show?
Yeah, like...
I love that. That's like a Futurama skit for some reason to me.
and like I was telling John about this one story in a documentary Into the Abyss. He interviews this executioner or something like that, and this guy is like super Christian, and he's standing like, oh, this, we give everybody a Christian burial here, and she's showing these plots of graves and whatever, and he seems to be kind of separated, and but despite being really religious, he's doing this job, and Werner just kind of, I think it starts becoming about squirrels, and And this guy by himself, Werner doesn't lead him anywhere. He's just asking these questions. But this guy suddenly ties his ability to stop and let the squirrel go through to his inability to stop the executions he has to like commit, you know? And he starts crying on camera.
Holy shit.
Do we have this?
Yeah, I can bring it up.
Reverend, you are on duty today. Can you just think about the man whom you are going to encounter in an hour from now? Less than an hour from now.
I really am going there without any expectations. I'm going there to experience what God has prepared for me, for him, for all of those involved. And I don't preconceive anything, not today. I will let that happen as it occurs, as time gets there. We have a loving, caring, forgiving, merciful God. And in time of joy, and in time of need, and time of trial or tribulation, God is always there for us. I want to make that presence to them.
And if there is no family interested in taking care of the body, the condemned men would end up right behind you.
Yes, they end up here at the state cemetery, and they're buried by the state. No names on the crosses. Only numbers.
No names on the... That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's really fucked up.
That's very dark. Just a
Why
number.
does God
You came in here with a
allow,
number, you're dead with a number.
capital punishment?
I don't know the answer. I believe that there's always a purpose why God allows things to happen. God has created so many things in this world. I play golf sometimes. I love to be on the golf course because one thing I do, I put my phone on a silent mode. I go out there sometimes by myself with no distractions, and I can see the beautiful grass. I can see the squirrels from time to time running. Sometimes the deer are running. Sometimes I look across the golf course and I see a cow or a horse, and I stop and I acknowledge life. The things that God has created.
Please describe an encounter with a squirrel.
An encounter with a squirrel. I was driving the golf cart, and I was on the cart path, and I saw two squirrels. They were chasing each other, and as I was getting closer, they were running across the cart path, and I put on my brakes, and they stopped in the middle of the cart path and looked at me, and I said, how about this? If I wouldn't have stopped, I could have run over one of these squirrels. Their life would have ended. And that reminds me, the many people that I have been with on their last breath of life, and due to bad choices and mistakes in their life, their life is taken away in the moment. So life is precious, whether it's a squirrel or a human being. So I will sometimes meditate on that experience, make a little noise, and the squirrels will take off and continue their life.
That's an intense, it's an intense way to interview where it's like, he's never really trying to get a scoop. He's just like, oh, you had something similar to he was talking about animals, and you got something similar that happened to you with those animals. And he's like, yeah. Actually,
but just the way he moves on to the golf course and talk about the animals, clearly there's that connection with it makes him happy, it makes him think about things like that.
Yeah, he forms and it's off camera probably just talked about golf or whatever, something like that, because he's just described the encounter with the squirrel. The guy goes there by himself.
Yeah,
he just saw that connection, brought him there.
He probably gauged that from him. He didn't know exactly what he was gonna say, But just knowing this guy.
Talk about an encounter with a squirrel. So he doesn't even have a specific story in mind.
Yeah.
It's just so random.
He's just like, I feel like this guy has like a way, like he understands people very well pretty quickly, which I find interesting.
Yeah. I think that's the life experience too. Just seeing so many people, so many characters. You get that. So that is how Werner breaks the ice and gets to do good work with actors and documentary subjects. He's sort of like the immovable object in a lot of ways. He always finds some way of getting what he wants. But the thing about immovable objects is that sooner or later, they meet an unstoppable force. For Werner Herzog, that unstoppable force came in the form of a German actor named Klaus Kinski. Yeah, so here's the thing. We spent half this episode talking about the hero of the story. Now it's time we kind of talk about the villain of the story.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I am not ready for this.
Fucking brace for this shit. So, do I have... I don't have an image.
Who would want to be villainous towards this man?
This guy.
Oh, he's ugly.
Yeah. Klaus Kinski has many times been referred to as literally the most evil actor in history.
What's the name of that? Oh, that one guy. He's always a villain.
Klaus Kinski.
Willem Dafoe?
Yes, Willem Dafoe.
I mean, he's like an ugly German William Dafoe.
The one who played
William Dafoe is the good guy version of him.
Is the one who played in Reservoir Dogs, Mr. Pink?
Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi. Oh.
You heard
looks
he
like
got like
Steve-
fucking sucker punched out of nowhere in New York. Anyway,
Yeah, he
that's
did
a-
get sucker punched. Yeah, that's the whole
He
thing.
got sucker
He
punched
looks
for
like
no
Steve
reason.
Buscemi.
No,
Him?
no,
Him, yes.
no, not Klaus Kinski. No.
Anyways, born Klaus Gunther Karl Naschinski in 1926 in the free city of Danzig, which is today part of Poland, Kinski's father was a failed opera singer turned pharmacist, and his mother was a nurse. He later claimed that he was sexually abused as a child in his autobiography, but the claims kind of just fall into hearsay, with Herzog even calling them fabrications Kinski made up to spice up his book.
You know how evil he is? Well, I mean, mostly for later reasons because of that, which I find quite gross of him. But like, even his name is like, like fucking German evil.
Klaus Kinski.
Klaus Kinski. You know how many times I typoed Klaus Kinky?
Nice.
I just kept writing Kinky. I'm like, fuck.
Boy.
Kinky would. And Werner, publicly kind of talks shit about him sometimes.
Good.
He's like, he's a fucking liar.
Deservedly.
And they both like talk shit about each other. Like that's something too. Well, we'll get that in part 2, but yeah. His parents are killed during World War II, and Kinski is conscripted into the Wehrmacht at age 17. Some accounts say he was captured by British forces on his second day of combat, but in his own biography, Kinski claims that he was caught deserting by German soldiers and sentenced to death, but upon escaping from those German soldiers, he was subsequently caught by the British forces and imprisoned by the British.
Sounds like a lie.
He passes the remainder of the war as a POW, and he and a couple of fellow prisoners put on shows and plays for the prisoners to keep their spirits up. I didn't even know they were allowed to do that.
Yeah, that was a thing they used to do a lot, actually. Mostly because everybody was bored, even the people who put you as prisoners.
Let these Germans have their stupid show. Once the war is over, Kinski gets word that they are sending back the sick POWs first. So he takes it upon himself to stand outside in the cold over long periods of time, eat cigarette butts, and drink his own urine in order to get sick.
That's kind of funny.
That's crazy.
After the war, he does theater, where he rapidly starts gaining a reputation for being incredibly difficult to work with. In 1971, before he really blew up as a film actor, Kinski was touring a one-man show that he wrote and performed himself. The show was based on the New Testament and would feature Kinski monologuing as Jesus Christ.
You know how Werner Herzog, we said he was God? Kinski is kind of like the devil.
He's like trying to pretend to be
God. He's
Yeah.
pretending to be God.
So he performs this show in front of a crowd of 3,000 people in Berlin's Deutschland Hall and is quickly heckled by the entire hall within the first 10 minutes of his performance. Kinski responds to this by fighting back. He starts cursing out the audience, flipping them off, screaming. Crowd members try to go up on stage and take the microphone from him or start a dialogue with him. Kinski shoves them off the stage violently. It's just a bit because it's in German, so...
Duldsam. Und wenn ihm einer widersprochen hat, dann hat versucht, ihn zu überzeugen, hat nicht gesagt, halt deine Schnauze.
Nein, hat nicht gesagt, halt die Schnauze. Hat eine Peitsche genommen.
He's so ugly.
Und hat ihm in die Fresse gehauen. Das hat der gemacht.
So he's just calling this guy a fucking idiot, like laughing. calling him a stupid pig. He's just a screaming German guy with a microphone.
Und das kann dir auch passieren.
This guy tries to take the microphone from him.
Ich will jetzt was sagen.
And he just fucking shoves it off. Anyway, it becomes a fucking shit show, basically. So another story. In 1986, a director by the name of David Schmoller sets himself up for the ride of a lifetime when he sought to work with Kinski on a thriller called Crawl Space. Right off the bat, Kinski is problematic. On his first days on set, he complains that he detests the wardrobe that he's been given. So he goes out to buy all new clothes and charges them to the production. He kept the clothes afterwards.
What a dick.
Cunt. As production rolls on, Kinski starts throwing the tantrums he is famous for. He screams on set, throws things, and berates just about anyone. In only 3 days of shooting, Kinski had engaged in 6 fist fights with crew members.
That's fucking crazy. Fist fights? Do you know how
fucking
long it gets to get to fist fights on a set? Like, what the hell?
This, man.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And this is in his second language too. He's doing this in English. Kinski would also arrive late to set, putting the production way behind schedule. So the director, Schmoller, gets fed up, and he and his Italian friend decide it's time to boot Kinski. But the American producers and distributors won't let them because at this point, Kinski was a big name and the selling point for the movie. On the 4th day of production, the Italian producer pulls Schmoller aside and tries to get him into a plot to kill Kinski and get the money back from the production's insurance.
Hell yeah. We could have had, like, that could have been the right side of
Italians,
history.
man.
Bro, how
Like, listen.
bad like you have to be to not only get 6 fist fights, but then they want to put a hit job on
What
you.
movie was that? Was it for
It's
the
called Crawl
silence?
Space.
Oh,
no,
okay.
it's called Crawl Space. And you know, like, there's multiple... John just farted. There's multiple directors who plot
Conspired to kill him?
including one we've been talking about.
Nice.
But more on that later. So Schmoller shuts down those ideas and stays determined to finish the film and beat the so-called undirectable actor. But Kinski wasn't going to make it easy for him. So there's this story, right, where, like, you know, we're going to start shooting, and Kinski just starts getting fed up because, like, Schmoller says action, and Kinski's like, action, action. I always hear action. All my life, I've been acting for 20 years, and all these directors, they always say the word action. And he's like, so what do you want me to say? And he's like, just say Klaus.
Wow.
So Schmoller, just wanting shit to go well, he's like, okay then, Klaus. And this goes on for 2 days. And then on the 3rd day, he's like, Klaus. All my life, I hear Klaus and all this shit. I don't want like, and then it's like, so what do you want me to say? And he's like, say nothing. Just, I will start when I'm ready.
What the fuck? This
And
one's
they
crazy.
let him do it. And then he has a problem with the word cut. Again, the same speech. And he's just doing this to fuck with the director. Like, to be an
evil.
asshole. So then he wants nothing at the end either. So he's like, I will start and end the takes when I feel like.
He's a fucking dick.
As the shoot progresses.
I gotta say, I do understand why they plot to kill him.
Yeah.
Like, fuck this.
And that rumor of, like, people want, like, the producer wanting to kill him spreads around set. And as the shoot progresses, the crew all start whispering, please kill Mr. Kinski to Schmoller.
They're like, we will never betray you. We will never say we
will
were not
bury the
witnesses
bother.
there. We weren't even on the set. We didn't see anything.
It becomes straight up like mutiny. Eventually, Schmoller notices that Klaus had a crush on one of the young actresses, Tanny McClure, and that he softened up only slightly on the days that she was on set. So he asked McClure to be on set for as many days as possible so the production could move on smoothly.
Oh God, poor woman.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put
Please
her through
entertain
that.
our beast.
Yeah, literally. Like, this is that, like, Beauty and the Beast. It's like, please, like, satiate the beast. Oh God, this poor woman.
Yeah. Nevertheless, Kinski still found himself getting countless offers from big studios and big directors too. Reportedly, Kinski was offered the role of Major Arnold Toth in Raiders of the Lost Ark. So the villain in the first Indiana Jones movie. But he passed because he thought the script was, quote, moronically shitty and that the film would be a yawn-making, boring pile of shit. This he reportedly said to Steven Spielberg. He instead went on to do a film called Venom, which did not make as much box office as Indiana Jones or cultural impact as Indiana Jones, but did offer Kinski more money.
Venom? Like the Venom we all know and love?
No, not that
Venom.
Venom. He made some other Venom that nobody remembers. And really, he was only picking it because it made more money. But he thought most of the movies he made were fucking stupid and boring.
I was about to say, I was like, there's no way this was the only time he ever voiced that out.
No, yeah. This is just like a famous one where like, famous last words,
Yeah.
You tell Spielberg he's a fucking idiot moron, and also what he's making is a pile of shit. And this is something that often gets muddied in talks of his reputation. He's been seen as this passionate actor who has these bestial fits of rage because he's such a tortured artist, and that all of this is part of his craft. But it isn't quite as true. Klaus Kinski was a wild animal, in and out of set, and anybody who got an outstanding performance was tiptoeing around the beast to get to the man. But there were very few, if any, glimpses of the man, because Kinski also ran his life with such terror. In 2008, Klaus Kinski's widow sued the Berlin State Archive for releasing a long-hidden patient file of Kinski's time in a psychiatric ward. The file is from a stint Kinski had back in the 1950s when he was 26 years old. This file was subsequently leaked to a German tabloid called Bild. This is from a German news called The Local. The actor was 26 years old and in love with a doctor 24 years his senior when police brought him into the clinic for treatment. The woman had been financing his artist's life, but was engaged to another man and had only motherly feelings toward the actor. According to Kinski's account, they love each other deeply. She has long since forbidden his visits, but he has not turned away. Instead, he sleeps on her balcony and hides himself in her apartment without her knowledge.
What?
The fuck?
Yeah.
What the hell?
The homie is nuts.
Yeah,
what
he's
a
fucking
queen.
terrifying.
He's the inspiration for Twilight.
Honestly,
He's Edward Cullen.
yeah, he's a. You shine, Klaus Kinski. It's the
This
skin,
is the skin of a killer Bella.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. This is a pretty this is those plots that I'm interested in. Like this is a wild fucking plot. Like you're like.
This is insane. So the file goes on to say that Kinski attempted suicide with 3 morphine tablets, survived
Only
and
3?
made a second attempt
Pussy.
a few days later with 10 sleeping tablets.
Pussy, take horse tranquilizer.
This is okay to make fun of Klaus Kinski.
Yeah, fuck Klaus
especially with what we're going to get into later. He then showed up at the doctor's apartment, destroyed her kitchen, called her a whore, and tried to strangle her.
I always love when people call girls whores when they don't want to fuck them.
Yeah, it's my
always great.
favorite too.
They call them
They're
whores because they were loyal.
Kinski then called police to come pick her up, but they left with him instead. I don't know what that logic was.
Oh, he called the
He
police
called the cops
on
like,
her?
come get this bitch.
And he's like, wait, whose house is this? Not mine. It's this bitch's house. Okay, well, you're coming with us. I'm like, you're fucking nuts.
One doctor at the clinic classified Kinski as a, quote, danger to the public.
He was
And
right.
another one said that he showed, quote, signs of severe mental illness. The first doctor wrote, his speech is violent. In this, his self-centered and incorrigible personality is evident as one that can't blend in civil circumstances. He remains consistent to his egocentric worldview and declares all others prejudice.
He's like a very disorganized Hitler.
I mean, you seen him screaming with a microphone? Jesus.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
Literally.
He
I literally
almost could have
thought
been
I couldn't
Hitler
see the
If you
screen
shut your
properly.
eyes and ask somebody what that was, like,
They would say, "Oh no, dark time in history."
yeah.
They would say the same thing as Nick. Sounds like
Is
a
it-
disorganized Hitler.
You play 21 questions to that audio. Your first question is it black and white? Is there a lot of people there?
Guess who?
So the patient hasn't had a job in 1 year, but still speaks confidently of the new film which he will star. The file goes on to say that Kinski believed he was unjustly brought to the clinic. He was given insulin treatments and was released 3 days later, according to his wishes. At the time, such insulin treatments was usually given to schizophrenic and manic depressive patients, and resulted in a coma-like state due to reduced blood sugar. That was very risky and menacing treatment method.
They were also trying to take him out.
But Kinski didn't just unleash his wrath on the world, he also brought a lot of it home. Here is a perspective from one of Kinski's 3 children, Paula Kinski. This is translated from Paris Match, so it's a French article. I translated it. So it says, quote, your father, fabulous, unforgettable. I adore him, raved delirious fans to Paula for 20 years, unaware of her nausea. He threw his cigarette butts into the soup at restaurants, insulted the waiters, drove Ferraris at breakneck speeds, smashed everything he could get his hands on by throwing it against the wall, caused multiple scenes, insulted the spectators, and trampled on journalists who came to interview him, recalled Pola. Never any friends, nor shared meals, nor vacations, no family life, but screams, drama, violence. Neither of the two sisters, who had lost all mutual contact for 20 years, could ever bear to see him on film, before or after his death. Quote, he was at home just like in his movies.
That's depressing to think about.
Yeah. If that doesn't make enough of a case of Kinski's monstrosity, I think this next bit will. So this is the point where I guess I'll give a trigger warning, and there'll be a point to skip to.
I really miss when we were talking about the other
Werner,
guy.
yeah.
Werner was such a ray of sunshine and joy.
I know.
I don't like this new character.
I've prepared some little palate cleansers, by the way.
Werner was fun, adventurous.
Yeah, so I got a little palate cleanser. This is Werner Herzog finding out his friend of 30 years, John Waters, is gay.
Who does not know irony, for example. I do understand humor, but I take things literal, and whatever other references that might be there doesn't occur to me. So for me, a chair is a chair, and I do not reference to other possibilities. What could the chair refer to in a very simple, very simple term? How straightforward and simple I see. For me, a man is a man. I cannot distinguish a gay man from a straight man. I just cannot distinguish unless the man comes in drag and is so obviously gay.
It doesn't always mean they're gay nowadays.
I would notice. And I saw a filmmaker whom I know since 35 years, John Waters.
By the way, John Waters is kind of like obviously gay.
Just 2 weeks ago or so, John Waters.
He's known him 35 years, but he forgot his name.
I turned to my wife. We talked backstage because we were both introducing or speaking at an event for the founder of New Line Cinema, who is a friend of both of us. After 35 years of knowing John Waters, I turned to my wife and I said to her, I have the feeling this man is gay. Which is in a way wonderful, because I took him as John Waters, and I love the man. I love him dearly, and he's the boldest of the bold of filmmakers. I wish I had the guts of this man. And
so yeah, just a palate cleanser.
I see. I'm happy again.
Yeah.
But the thought of going back to the other guy makes me sad.
You will be sad very quickly. That one really just made me angry more than anything.
Yeah, so here we go. In 2013, Pola Kinski, Klaus's daughter, wrote an autobiographical book called Kindermund, which translates to child's mouth or from a child's mouth. In it, she accuses her father, Klaus Kinski, of repeatedly sexually abusing her between the ages of 5 and 19 years old. It started with her father touching and kissing her open mouth at the ages of 5 and then escalated to even darker behavior. One night in 1962, when Klaus Kinski was at the height of his fame, he tells his 9-year-old daughter, Pola, to put on her nicest dress because they're going out. He takes her to one of the nicest hotels in Munich and treats her to an entire evening complete with a fancy restaurant, giant pool, bellhops, and a palace-sized bedroom. Once in their bedroom, Kinski forces Pola onto the bed and rapes her. After it is done, he dresses her back up and tells her, quote, "You won't say anything, never. If you speak, I'll go to jail. All dads in the world do this with their daughter. Always. It's natural." And this behavior wasn't exclusive to Pola. He also exercised it with Pola's younger half-sister, Natasha. This is Natasha speaking. Among even more unbearable memories, Natasha, Kinski's other daughter, also married twice and a mother, acknowledges having narrowly escaped rape. Quote, "He tried pinning me against the wall, attempting to kiss me on the mouth, but I fought back. I knew it wasn't right," she recalls with similar anxiety, without knowing anything about her half-sister's fate. Quote, "We all lived in terror of what new outburst he was capable of. He was a tyrant." So, yeah, that sucks.
Wow.
Yep.
I got
jokes, anyone?
Yeah, I got a palate cleanser here, guys. This is Werner Herzog sharing his opinion on chickens.
I love how we have to keep going back to Werner for fucking palate cleansers.
So I love this clip. This is awesome. This is a great palate cleanser.
The enormity of their flat brain, the enormity of their stupidity is just overwhelming. You have to do yourself a favor when you're out in the countryside and you see chicken, try to look a chicken in the eye with great intensity. And the intensity of stupidity that is looking back at you is just amazing. By the way, it's very easy to hypnotize a chicken. They're very prone to hypnosis. And in 1 or 2 films, I've actually shown that.
You know, you can actually just flip a chicken upside down, and he's pretty much paralyzed.
You know, if you run after chickens, it'll find a hole and just put its head in the hole.
That's an ostrich.
That's an ostrich, no?
No, dude, literally, a chicken does that.
A chicken does that?
Yeah.
I had no fucking clue.
My cousins have chickens in Italy, and we as kids we would run after the chickens,
and they would
stick their head in holes, and you'd pet them.
Oh,
that's cute.
They're like pet my butt. Pet my butt.
There's also like, if I can't see you, you can't see me.
Yeah, that's type of logic.
They think they got the invisibility cloak.
Yeah.
Also, if you like
for Harry Potter,
if you lay a chicken on its back, and then you like rub gently between its eyes, like his forehead between his eyes, it'll literally stop moving. It won't run anymore. It'll just stay there.
Chickens can still run with their head cut off. My mom used to geek chickens.
Yeah, well, it's the nerves is still moving.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up.
Chickens are fun.
Chickens are interesting creatures.
I like chickens. Werner Beast hating on chickens for some reason.
Why does he hate the chickens?
They're incredibly stupid.
I think he just appreciates.
He appreciates the simplicity of a chicken.
The thing is, I don't think chickens are stupid. They can learn shit. They can learn how to play piano. I'm not even fucking with you. I'm not even fucking with you.
Priscilla said the most boys thing of the episode.
I'm not even fucking with you. They can learn how to play piano. Have you ever watched Golden Girls? They have a chicken playing piano.
Thank you for being a friend.
Yeah, it's good. I'm not even fucking with you. Nick is not believing me. I'm sorry.
No,
it's okay.
Today, Priscilla said she parties and that chickens play piano.
Okay, which one do you believe the most? Fuck you.
I believe more than.
Also, I believe more than chickens. I think I mentioned one party, and this motherfucker is like, not even one.
Not even one.
That's in party one.
I think I believe the piano now. I believe the chickens. Yeah.
By the way, that hypnosis thing, Werner, it's a small side story, but Werner wanted people to be hypnotized for a movie, so he hired a hypnotist. But over a couple of days, what kept happening was like the hypnotist also kept plugging like his palm reading business and other shit along with it. So Werner got fed up, went to find a book on hypnosis, started practicing on chickens, and learned to hypnotize his cast for the movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
This dude's a guy. I love
so
this
people
dude.
are chickens to him.
And in one story, one of the extras, like girlfriends, like wanted to join, like just see the shoot, and he was like, "Okay, but you have to leave the room when I'm doing the hypnosis." She did not leave the room, and she was also hypnotized.
She did not believe, and she was like, "Oh fuck, this man's got power."
To this day, she still believes.
He has his whole autobiography has a chapter on hypnosis.
There's no need to go to the other guy.
He fired him so
Can we just
quickly.
ignore that guy?
We're almost there. We're almost there.
Yeah.
Can we just ignore all the bad shit he did and just get to the beef?
So, needless to say, despite being a good actor, Kinski is also a human piece of shit. A real raging bull with the drive to destroy the most fragile things in his path. Dealing with him is like trying to handle a bull in a china shop. Werner's China Shop would be the 5 films he and Kinski would collaborate on. Luckily for Werner, this isn't his first rodeo. Tune in next time where we will talk about how El Alamein had to get back on that old saddle and tame one last bull, Klaus Kinski.
Let's go. The desert rat back at it again.
So yeah, this had to be split into 2 episodes because all the on-set drama is intense as fuck too. I'm talking like guns get pulled on each other and shit. Guns get fired at each other. Death threats. Constant plots to kill.
I'm convinced
we got a lot of spice going on and more Werner stories as well. More mystical Werner stories that didn't fit into this episode.
I fucking love Werner.
Yeah.
Werner.
So yeah.
Told you, we have God and Satan in this one. It's Satan's fucking Kinski, and he's God. Werner's God. He's the good guy.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for listening. My name is John. You can find me on Instagram as Director Jon Ramirez. I also make movies at Deadtime Media. Priscilla and I just made a film called Society of the Bread. You can watch that on YouTube.
It's the John. It's the Juan. Just plug. Just make sure to 5-star the show. Just show us some love. We work hard on this stuff. We show up for you guys every week. We love you. Just and Nicky.
I'm Nick.Serafino on Instagram, so follow me. Love you. Mwah.
All right, I'm Priscilla. Made a movie with John, Society of the Bread. Watch it. And you can check me at Instagram on Pixelated Pisca. Bye-bye.
Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We are BB Pod. Take care. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Go hypnotize a chicken.
Bum, 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 bum.